Good morning and good evening to everyone. So let us start with the usual opening recitations. Dala Dhamma Jebe Dry Nover Jebe Gay Torba Dan Tom Je Kimbe Bardu Chopra Jeba Tam Jeki So Jebe Manang Kadang Nyampe Sunjen Tom Je Deva Dan Ten Tung Yang Dan Den Herdu Lana Me Pa Yang Tabra Sobe Chanju Rinpo Che Tombra Jai Nova Jebe Nova Jebe Tarba Dan Tam Je Gembe Bardu Chopra Jeba Tam Jegi Su Jebe Ma Nanga Dan Nyampe Senchen Tam Je Deva Dan Den Dunya Dan De Nerdu Lana Me Pa Yang Tabra Sobe Chanju Rinpo Je Tombra Jai Dala Dhawa Jebe Dai Noper Jebe Ge Tarba Dan Tam Je Gembe Bardu Chopra Jepa Tam Jege Se Jebe Manang Kadang Nyampe Senchen Tam Je Dewa Dan De Dungyao Dan De Nerdo Lana Me Pa Yang Tabra Sobe Chanju Rinpo Je Tombara Jai De Je De Sama Geki Bardu Longa Yisum Gewa Lago Mashi Bardu Longa Yisum Gewa Lago De Trene Sunde Nema Sanda Sangye Bardu Longa Yisum Gewa Lago Sanche Chodan Soje Chonam La Chancho Bardu Dane Kapsuche Dage Jinsu Gebe Sonang Ge Drola Pincher Sanje Drubra Sho Sanje Jodan Soge Jonam La Chancho Bardu Dane Gabzu Je Dage Jinsu Gebe Sonang Ge Drola Pincher Sanje Drubra Sho Sanje Jodan Soge Jonam La Chancho Bardu Dane Gabzu Je Dage Jinsu Gebe Sonang Ge Drola Pincher Sanje Drubra Sho Mano Kadang Nyampe Senchen Tomche De Wadan De Wei Gyundan De Bra Gyurji Dunya Dan Dunya Gi Gyudan Dewa Gyurji Dunya Mebe Dewa Dame Dewa Gyurji Niring Chadan Nidan Dewa Tanyang La Nebra Gyurji Mano Kadang Nyampe Senchen Tomche De Wadan Dewe Gyundan Dembra Gyurji Dunya Dan Dunya Gi Gyudan Dewa Gyurji Dunya Mebe Dewa Dame Dewa Gyurji Niring Chadan Nidan Dewa Tanyang La Nebra Gyurji Manang Kadang Nyampe Senchen Tamje Dewa Dang Dewe Gyundan Dembra Gyurji Dunya Dang Dunya Gi Gyudan Dewa Gyurji Dunya Mebe Dewa Dame Dewa Gyurji Niring Chadang Nidang Dewe Tanyang La Nebra Gyurji. Just take a few moments to let body and mind settle a little. To whatever degree you are able to let body and mind settle, just take a few moments to let body and mind settle into their own places. The Buddha identified breath as a supreme object for this purpose. for the settling of body and mind. So at your own pace, whenever you're ready, take a few deep and deliberate breaths. As you take those breaths, pay attention to how it feels, how the body experiences this breath, how the mind experiences this breath. The goal here isn't to find some correct answer. The goal here is to train our attention so that we become more sensitized to the experience and the process of breath and how breath interacts and affects body and mind. In all the worlds of the 10 directions reside Tathagatas of the 3 times. Before each of you, lions among humans, I prostrate joyfully with body, speech, and mind. By the power of this aspiration to noble deeds, all conquerors appear vividly in my mind. With as many bodies as there are atoms in all lands, I prostrate to all you conquerors. In each atom are Buddhas numberless as atoms, all in the midst of the heirs of the Buddhas. Thus I conceive of this Dharma Dhatu as completely filled with you conquerors in this way, with infinite oceans of praise and oceans of diverse melodies. I sing the excellent qualities of all you conquerors, and praise all of you gone to bliss with the best flowers and best garlands, best music, ointments, and excellent parasols, finest lamps and superior incense. I offer to you conquerors with excellent garments and best fragrances, and sandalwood powder heap high as Mount Meru. All wondrous offerings perfectly arranged I offer to you conquerors. These vast and unequal offerings to each and every one of you conquerors with the power of conviction in noble deeds, I prostrate and offer to all you conquerors. All the harmful deeds that I have done with my body, speech, and mind. Under the power of desire, hatred, and ignorance, I confess each and every one of them. I rejoice in all the meritorious deeds of all conquerors in the 10 directions and the heirs of the Buddhas, solitary realizers here, still in training and beyond, and all wandering beings. You who are lamps of the worlds of the 10 directions, who have unobstructedly attained Buddhahood through the stages of Bodhi. All you who are my protectors, please turn the unexcelled wheel of Dharma. With palms together, I earnestly beseech you who may intend to manifest final nirvana. Please remain for as many eons as there are atoms in the world, for the happiness and well-being of all wandering beings. Whatever slight virtue that may have been gathered through prostrating, offering, confessing, rejoicing, requesting, and beseeching, are now dedicated to complete Bodhi. This ground sprinkled with scented waters and strewn with flowers, adorned with the supreme mountain, 4 continents, sun and moon, I visualize as a Buddha land and offer it. May all wandering beings experience such a pure land. To the Gurus who possess the 3 kayas, I offer outer, inner, secret, and thusness offerings. With my body, wealth, and all phenomenal existence, please grant the unsurpassed supreme attainment. Whatever slight virtue I may have gathered through prostrating, offering, confessing, rejoicing, requesting, and beseeching, I now dedicated to complete Bodhi. Om Guru Devada Kinirana Mandala Pratija Soha. Please turn the wheel of Dharma of the greater, lesser, and common vehicles in accordance with the dispositions and mental capacities of sentient beings. Durji Chanchen Dele Naroda Mami Tapo Padu Jiden Kun Kanten Sunden Sawe Lame Sham Sadju Lama Yidam Chokyong La Sova Dep Soda Ji Chen Che Lo Kya Drenki Tome Samling Kya Tope To Sunyong La Kya Tsome Kya Wadu Ji Chang Pa Jiden Kun Per Sham La Tu Tu Tatu Sangyu Kyo Leme Jinji Lo Shi Tu Je Chen Ninge Mu Per Sa Ne Kya Sim To Te Tu To Per Chen Che Lo Me Choki yinki podane tu se sanchen kunyi nyobo nyi la sen choki ngo sen ton se pa sawe la me shala so wa ne. Yeah, so now we are at page, not page, but verse 90, the Bodhicharyavatara. So from verse 90 to 111, Khenpo Kumbel's commentary identifies this as to exercise, to practice kashanti towards those who obstruct us from what we want, those who stand in the way of us getting what we want. So it may be like, someone at the workplace that you perceive to be stopping you from getting the promotion that you want. Or the government wouldn't let you do what you want. Or just, like two persons in front of you standing in line at the cafe and they ordered, the last bagel that you were hoping to get. The last muffin that you were hoping to get, So all these, those who obstruct, who stand in the way of us getting what we want. So let's read those verses together. Veneration, praise, and fame serve not to increase merit or my span of life, bestowing neither health nor strength, and nothing for the body's ease. If I'm wise in what is good for me, I'll ask what benefit these bring. For if it is entertainment I desire, I might as well resort to alcohol and cards. I lose my life, my wealth I squander, all for reputation's sake. What use are words, and whom will they delight when I am dead and in my grave? Children can't help crying when their sand castles come crumbling down. My mind is also like them when praise and reputation start to fail. Short-lived sound devoid of intellect can never in itself intend to praise me. I say that it is the joy that others take in me. It is this that is the cause of my delight. But what is it to me if others take delight in someone else or even in myself? Their pleasures, theirs, and theirs alone. No part of it is felt by me. If I'm happy at the joy of those who take delight, then everyone should be a source of joy to me. When people take delight in others, why am I not happy at their pleasure? The satisfaction that is mine from thinking I am being praised, is unacceptable to common sense and nothing but the antics of a silly child. Praise and compliments distract me, sapping my revulsion with samsara. I start to envy others their good qualities, and thus all excellence is ruined. Those who stay close by me then to damage my good name and cut me down to size are surely there protecting me from falling into realms of grief. For I am one who strives for freedom. I must not be caught by wealth and honors. How could I be angry with the ones who work to free me from my fetters? They, like Buddha's very blessing, bar my way, determined as I am to plunge myself headlong in sorrow. How can I be angry with them? I should not be irritated, saying, they are obstacles to my good deeds. For is not patience the supreme austerity? And should I not abide by this? And if I fail to practice patience, hindered by my own shortcomings, I myself create impediments to merit's causes, yet so close at hand. If something does not come to be when something else is absent, and thus arise, that factor being present, that factor is indeed its cause. How can it then be said to hinder it? The beggars who arrive at proper times are not an obstacle to generosity. We cannot say that those who give the vows are hindrances to ordination. The beggars in this world are numerous, assailants are comparatively few. For if I do no harm to others, others do no injury to me. So like a treasure found at home that I have gained without fatigue, my enemies are helpers in my Bodhisattva work, and therefore they should be a joy to me. Since I have grown in patience thanks to them its first fruits I should give, for of my patience they have been the cause. And if I say my foes should not be honored, since they did not mean to stimulate my patience, why do I revere the sacred Dharma, cause indeed of my attainment? These enemies conspired to harm me, I protest, and therefore should receive no honors. But had they worked to help me like a doctor, how could I have brought forth patience? Thanks to those whose mind are full of malice, I engender patience in myself. They therefore are the causes of my patience, fit for veneration, like the Dharma. Yeah, so in these verses here, Shantideva is focusing not just on generally, on like those who stand in our way. Here, it's clear that he is focusing on one particular area. Of course, we can also learn from this one particular area. The particular area he's talking about is the way people might praise us or blame us, and therefore affecting, our ratings, our likability level. How many likes on Facebook, depending on how many people praise or criticize us. So he basically says, like these people who criticize us, who blame us, who even out of malice say negative things about us, we need to have a different attitude towards that. Who are these we? He's not necessarily saying we just about anybody, but especially we, those who have taken the Bodhisattva vow. So it is good to remind ourselves, we should not behave as if we have not taken the Bodhisattva vow. We should behave and try to behave in such a way that is befitting someone who has taken the Bodhisattva vow. So this is skillful pride, so to say. Sometimes because we really, have to remember that we are on the path. We have taken the Bodhisattva vow. So we should not, kind of take worldly, mundane, worldly, ordinary standards of behavior to see acceptable or not acceptable. It is not enough. I mean, it's very good to have common decency because sometimes people who practice Dharma, not only have they forgotten that they have taken the Bodhisattva vow, but it seems, even common decency, because sometimes maybe too much emphasis on like, oh, we are superior practitioners, we are beyond all the accepting and rejecting, language like that. Then even common decency is not there. Then, oh my gosh, it's pretty hopeless. But at least, having first, have a common decency. Then, more than that, we have to remember, we have taken the Bodhisattva vow. So then, we don't take refuge from. Sometimes it says that when you have taken refuge in the Sangha, you do not, the original words, right? And these days, I think when teachers give the refuges, give the refuge vows, they are a little shy to say exactly those words. But those exact words are like, having taken refuge in the Noble Sangha, you should not take refuge in what's known as like heretics, translated as heretics. Those of the other ways. Now, these days, teachers don't want to say that because they don't want to offend people and also don't want people to have the wrong view or the wrong understanding, thinking that, oh, Buddhism thinks other religions, the spiritual traditions are inferior. And the Buddha says that when we've taken refuge in the Noble Sangha, we do not take others as teachers. This is not about judging others. This is saying that you need to remember what your reference point is. If your reference point is some popular writer on pop psychology and say, oh, that's how I'm going to, kind of orientate my mind training of my heart, then are you really taking refuge in the three jewels? Probably not. Now, does that mean that, oh, you're inferior? No, but at least you should not be confused about, am I really taking refuge in the three jewels? Or am I taking various and sundry ideas here, there, and everywhere and try to create my own system? These days, because we have access to so much information, it's wonderful, of course, but do we have time to really absorb all of this? And so that is, I think, something to think about. So people who want to be medical doctors, right, enroll in one medical school. So please try to remember that, you know. Is the medical school trying to control them? No. But you have to, you know, keep your reference point clear. And I suppose they become great doctors later when they complete medical school, and then they are put in different situations for different trainings. And that's how we grow. So the medical school we need to enroll in is the Bodhicitta Medical School. Not the, you know, not the like Tibetan Buddhism Medical School or the Drigong Kagyu Medical School, much less the Hanlai Medical School. I'm not suggesting that. I'm suggesting here, you need to enroll in the Bodhicitta Medical School, the medical school that heals all ailments. So we need to be clear that we are now enrolled in the Bodhicitta Medical School, and one of the main teachers of this school, main text, is Shantideva's Bodhicharyavatara. This should be our reference point. So anyway, so verse 90. Yeah? So he says, veneration, praise, and fame doesn't do much, to either increase merit or my lifespan. They neither give health nor strength. Nothing, really. Other people's praise of us, our fame, doesn't do anything for the basic things that we need, which is a good, healthy body and spiritual merit. Basically, Shantideva is teaching us here. He's teaching us not to let, there's a saying in Tibetan, like not to let the rope tied to your nose ring. Don't let that rope fall into someone else's hands. Yeah, this nose ring is not an ornament, okay? We're talking about like water buffaloes, and that's how you control them. You put a ring around their nose, then you tie a rope, then you just need to tug a little bit, you get their attention. So they say, don't surrender, the ropes to your nose ring to someone else. So that when someone praise you, you are so happy. Then when people yank the nose ring, you are in pain. Don't put your happiness in other people's sweet words. So first he says, these sweet words that other people, heap on you, they don't increase your merit, they don't increase your health and lifespan. And then if it is entertainment you're looking for, he says, like be entertained by, people praising us, which is, sometimes that's what we want, right? And he says, you might as well. Now, remember, he's speaking to fellow monks, right? He says, well, you might as well resort to alcohol and gambling. Yeah. He's not encouraging, right? He's rhetorical here. He's not saying you should go, become a drunk and a gambler. But he's rhetorically saying to the monks, you want entertainment? Well, might as well just go gamble and drink. And, and 92, you know, this is really how the world operates. We lose our life, our wealth we squander away, all for reputation's sake. And it's like, I cannot stand this insult. So then we do all kinds of things, up to even losing our lives, squandering our wealth, all because, you know, we cannot stand to be insulted. We cannot stand that people are saying things we don't like about us. And so then he says, you know, so what use are these words? You know, whether pleasant words or unpleasant words that people use to insult or to praise us, what is the use of these words? Who will they delight when I am dead and in my grave, he says. So then he says, you know, don't be like children, you know, who cry over sand castles crumbling down. The nature of sand castles is that they will crumble. Likewise, you know, he says, you know, these things like praise and reputation, you know, they're very fragile. They will crumble. And don't be like a child crying when they come crumbling down. Because in fact, in any meaningful way, they are not important. So in this section of the 8 worldly concerns, remember those 8 worldly concerns, particularly here is related to praise and blame, fame and infamy, 4 of the 8 worldly concerns. This has to do with what people say about us, what positively, negatively. Now, the 8 worldly concerns or the 8 winds, it's good to know what they are, okay? So the 4 that I just mentioned, praise, blame, fame, infamy. Then the other 4, gain, loss, pain, and pleasure. They are the 8 winds because when they blow, you know, we get blown here and there. But the thing is, you cannot stop these winds from blowing. All you can do is to remain firm and unmoving. If any of these winds start to stir up, you can remain firm and unmoving, stable, even. When the eight winds are blowing, then recognizing the virtues of dwelling in goodwill, metta, compassion, karuna, joyful mind, mudita, recognizing the virtues of being able to dwell in, to abide in these three, we cultivate equanimity, upeksha, the fourth of the four immeasurable minds. So the ability to cultivate equanimity. Equanimity means not prejudice by the bias of attachment or aversion to those who are close to us and those who are distant. Those we like, those we don't like, in other words. And not to be affected by the bias of attachment and aversion, we can remain equanimous. And not remain equanimous and blank, like neutral stone blank, but rather remaining equanimous in immeasurable goodwill, immeasurable compassion, and immeasurable joy. So the mind can be so comfortable and relaxed when it's able to just dwell in these four immeasurable minds. So we recite this, right, at the beginning of each practice. May all mother sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. And that recitation are these four immeasurable minds. Elsewhere, the Buddha says, there was an anecdote, an incident in the Buddha's life. Somebody came who didn't like the Buddha, and so was hurling insults at the Buddha, saying all kinds of things. Then the Buddha did not react, and the Buddha did not respond either. And the Buddha did not try to kind of reason or just quietly let the person say whatever they want to say. And then after that, that person said, like, what are you? Like a stone? Are you not even like awake enough to even understand what I'm saying to you? And the Buddha said, well, when others come with gifts in their hands to give you, and if you don't accept, what happens to those gifts? And the guy said, well, I have to take those gifts back. So likewise, the Buddha said, everything that you said, I just don't accept, that's one kind of equanimity. There's no need to fight or anything. It's simply thank you, but no thank you, So we should apply more frequently, you know, the mantra of not me, not mine. And not me. That's you don't own it, you know. That, oh, they're talking about me, they're describing me. Meaning then don't identify. Don't take any of this to be the basis of I formation. I formation. So often we hear, you know, oh, Buddhism says there's no I, there's no self, there's no soul, sometimes even translated as that. When it's translated as there's no soul, then this has been distorted. This teaching has been turned into a metaphysical statement. The Buddha wasn't interested in that kind of discussions. The Buddha is the healer of the mind. And so, what the Buddha points out is that this I formation, yes, there's a sense of I, but what the Buddha wants us to look closely at is on what basis are we basing, right, this idea of I. He says that when we look closely at this process, we see that there's no like unchanging, singular, abiding I that remains throughout time. Instead of that, what we find is that from moment to moment, there is the process of I formation going on. And I'll explain a little bit more about this I formation. The I is being created, being formed, being put together, being packaged together from moment to moment to moment. So some of the basic building materials that we use for this I formation, this process of forming the I from moment to moment, are things like, like we say, who my parents are, where I grew up, what nationality, what ethnicity, male or female. So all of this, our histories, our neighborhood, where we grew up, how we were educated, all of that are the building materials that we use for constructing this I. So our main problem is we don't recognize that this is what's going on. That the I that we cherish, or sometimes we hate so much, that it's not something singular and stable that persists through time. It is constantly being fabricated. It is constantly being formed from moment to moment based on building materials that are essentially sand castles that Shantideva is talking about here. So these little specks and motes of sand grains are all those details, all those building materials that we, so what happens is that we claim them as, oh, me, my identity, my memories, my worth, my happiness, my suffering, my. All this how the I is being built from moment to moment is based on us, based on our mind appropriating, collecting, going around collecting all these things and say me, mine, either me or mine. Me is more on the essential level. Mine is what this me would like to own. So as long as we're going around completely oblivious to how this I is being fabricated from moment to moment, and we keep fabricating, me, mine, then suffering or dukkha is inevitable. Yeah, so this mantra, so to say, of not me, not mine, can be a powerful antidote to, uh, to this habit of constantly feeding this machine of I making. So let's take a short break right here.
Om Wage Jore Mum Wage Jore 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 Wage joare mum, 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 wage joare mum. Wage joare mum, 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 wage joare mum. Wage joare mum, 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 wage joare mum. Wage joare mum, 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 wage joare mum. Wage joare mum, 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 wage joare mum. Wage joare mum, 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 wage joare mum. Wage joare mum, 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 wage joare mum. Wage joare mum, 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 wage joare mum. wage joare 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 wage joare.
So 94, verse 94. Short-lived sound, devoid of intellect, can never in itself intend to praise me. So Shantideva is pointing out the obvious. He says, sound, what you hear people say. They don't have a mind of their own. So they cannot, they have no intention, to praise. And for that matter, to praise what we chase after, to blame what we don't want, we run after. You say, okay, now you might say, well, it is the joy that others take in me. That is what makes me so happy. Then you can say, well, it's not really the words. It's not really the like that they click, but the thought that, someone else like me, someone else is taking delight in me. That is what gives me satisfaction. And so then in 95, he says, oh, that's why it's so important to you. He says, well, let me ask you this. When people are delighted in someone else, and let's say that someone else is you right now, what has that got to do with you? When people are delighted with someone else or something else, or delighted in you, the pleasure resides in those who are feeling delighted, not in you. So he's pointing out how when someone is happy, in this equation, right, you say, oh, I'm so happy with you. The real pleasure resides in the person feeling happy. He says, so it has nothing to do with you. So when people praise you, they are the ones who are having that enjoyment. He's saying, can you see that? That is not your enjoyment. First, he points this out. Then in the next verse, he will show how we can take good advantage of this understanding in the next verse, 96. So in 96, he says, if I'm happy at the joy of those who take delight, then you might say, well, I am happy because I see that someone else is taking delight. Someone else is being happy. He says, well, if that's the case, then it should not matter whether they are happy with you or happy with someone else or happy with your enemies or happy with your people that you don't know. As long as you see that people are happy, then you should be happy, period, regardless of who they are happy with. And now instead, he says, in 97 or 96, rest of it, he says, but when people take delight in others, why am I not happy at their pleasure? Instead, this is like the last section where jealousy. So in fact, when we see someone praising someone else, then we have all kinds of internal dialogue, explanation, mainly to ourselves, like why someone else is being praised and not us. He says, instead, we do that. Why can't we take delight in other people's delight, whether it has anything to do with me or not? Verse 97, the satisfaction that is mine based on thinking, from thinking, I am being praised, is unacceptable to common sense and nothing but the antics of a silly child. So here Shantideva says, that the kind of satisfaction that we get when we are being praised and we hear it, we recognize it, he says that kind of satisfaction is so fragile. Like the child and his or her sand castle is so fragile. So fragile because it's unreliable. So fragile because also beyond fragile, it's also so limited. If we are going to take pleasure in that, we should extend it even to its logical conclusion, which is the real reason that we take pleasure is we see that someone else is enjoying this. Then, based on that principle, then it doesn't matter whether they're praising you or they're praising other people. the fact that they're praising anything or anyone should cause you to be joyful. He says, if you want to do that, you should do that. Now he then takes us to the next level, so to say, of relating to the issue of praise and compliments. So again, now, remember, we are not ordinary people. We are those who have taken the Bodhisattva vow. And on that basis, early on in this text, Shantideva says, now I am born in the Buddha's family. I'm the child of the Buddhas. So now I am a Bodhisattva. So based on that, now our relationship with praise and compliments need to be even more sophisticated, you can say, more mature. So 98, he's going to, starting on verse 98, he will talk about that. So in 98, Shantideva says, praise and compliments distract me, sapping my revulsion with samsara. So praise and compliments, we can get so carried away that we forget, we are still, existing in the mode of confused existence. We are still in samsara. Now, important, kind of a footnote. When we say that we're still in samsara, I'm not saying, because you live in this world, automatically this is samsara. The world itself is not samsara. How we exist in the world makes it either samsara or nirvana. Samsara and nirvana are not like, oh, this planet Earth is samsara. Nirvana is somewhere, poof, somewhere else. No. Samsara and nirvana is to be found. Buddha says, bondage and liberation is all in this fathom-long body. Fathom is an ancient measurement, meaning about 6 feet. He says, bondage and liberation is all within this 6 foot tall body. So samsara and nirvana. So here, we get carried away by praise and compliments that we forget. Then we forget that actually we are still caught up in confused existence. Then we think, oh, everything is so great, everything is so good. Then we have the faults of the God realms, which is we think everything is fine. Not only fine, everything is wonderful. But eventually, right, the other side of confused existence is going to turn up. And at that point, we have become hooked by this hook of confused existence. We become so addicted to praise. We become so warm and feeling so good, under the spell of praises and compliments. Then not only that we have lost ourselves in that, we also even the opposite, or not opposite, but what often comes when we're in that state is we cannot stand other people's good qualities. We judge other people's good qualities. We're like, those good qualities, yeah, they're not really that good, or I'm sure there's something hiding behind that. So we start to even do that. And as a result, all excellence is ruined. On page 98, verse 98, it says, I start to envy, in the translation I have, I start to envy others of their good qualities. I think more than envy, we cannot stand that other people have good qualities, or good qualities that are better than ours. This, again, especially he's talking to his fellow monks, he's not even talking about, other people have bigger cars, bigger houses, more beautiful husbands or wives. He's talking about cuter kids or smarter children. He's not talking about that even. He's talking about even in the context of spiritual community, spiritual training. It's so easy that we get carried away by praise. Then when someone talks about someone else's qualities, we become all judgmental. Then he says, then all excellence is ruined now. It's destroyed. So in the next few verses, Shantideva, in fact, says, not only should we not resent those who criticize, who say negative things about us. In fact, we should develop the ability to see how they are actually the kind of help that we need. Not easy at all. We're not saying here, just listening to a few times, we can do it. Not easy, but we have to work on developing that, because it makes us stronger. Imagine when we have gotten over the fear of being criticized, when we've gotten over the fear of being judged. Imagine when we've gotten over our fear of not being accepted. It's liberating. Not easy, but if we work on it, we can get to this point. Again, Shantideva is not, encouraging us to become victims, to be expose ourselves to being bullied by others. He's not talking about that. He's not praising the advantages of being bullied. But he is telling us how we can turn things around if and when we find ourselves on the receiving end of negativity. Verse 99, those who stay close by me then to damage my good name and cut me down to size. So sometimes we even feel, like, are they purposely, coming close to me? Or we can feel, like the people that I trust so much, the people that I have done so many good things for, the people that I've been so loyal to, why are they damaging my good name and cut me down like this? He says, whenever you have that feeling, see if you can start to see that actually, whether they intend it or not, they are protecting me from falling into the realms of suffering. How? Because now I will remember, oh, right, this is samsaric mode of being. And as long as I'm under the power of the mental defilements, the afflictive emotions, of course, this is what's going to happen. But if I remove mental defilements, if I remove the afflictive emotions, even when they are hurling weapons at me, they turn into flowers, like Buddha Shakyamuni, or right before he became Buddha Shakyamuni, sitting down in the Bodhi tree on the moment, the eve of his awakening. It is said that Mara came, right, with his hordes of demonic armies, and after trying temptation, after trying to appeal to his attraction and attachment, didn't work. Now they use aversion, right? They brought the army and they attacked him. And it is said that every weapon that they threw at him, every arrow that they shot at him, he was able to transform them into flowers, beautiful, fragrant, and they all arrive as offerings. So he says, for I am one who strives for freedom. I must not be caught by wealth and honors. So those who I now think, they are here to take my wealth or take my honor, actually, they are freeing me from being trapped by wealth and honor. So I should not be angry with them. Then sometimes we are very clever. We might say, well, actually, they are not. It's not that they are taking my wealth and my honor that I am annoyed by, but that in doing that they prevent me from doing the good deeds that I want to do. I have this Dharma project. I have this, I have this plan. I have that plan. Nowadays, big Buddhist organizations have big plans, and whenever they have big plans, they get some opposition. Whether they want to build something and where they want to build, the people don't want them to build, or where they want to do this or do that, and very easy for Buddhist organizations, Buddhist or not, but I'm talking about Buddhist organizations, thinking, oh, well, we want to do good deeds, these people are the enemies, they're spreading false rumors about us, they're jealous about us. I've seen that, we get carried away and thinking that, oh, but I'm doing good, so surely when I'm doing good, whoever is blocking me, they must not be doing good. We think like that. This is part of samsaric mode of existence. And so then we get irritated. We say, oh, so verse 102, it says, they are obstacles to our good deeds. They are obstacles to our Dharma activities. So then we get annoyed, we get irritated. So 102, Shantideva says, but have you forgotten that the practice of Kshanti is the supreme austerity, the supreme practice. So shouldn't you practice that when obstacles arise, even when you think you're doing something virtuous, you're something good? So don't lose this opportunity to practice the supreme practice, which is the practice of Kshanti. And 103, he says, in fact, the true hindrance, the true obstacle to our ability to engage in good deeds, in virtues, is our own shortcomings, our own mental defilements. They are those true obstacles. So now, through the arising of external obstacles, we are given an opportunity to look clearly at the inner mental defilements, the inner obstacles that are the true obstacle standing in our way of creating virtue, which is what gives rise to true merit, is within us. So how good to know, that Shantideva says the true cause of merit is within us. How wonderful to know that. But when we don't know that, then we look outside. When we don't know that, when we forget that, then not only do we look outside, but while looking outside, inside, we let the mental defilements take over. Then the true cause of merit becomes more and more hidden. And again, then we get busy, fighting false demons outside. So let's see. So today we will end here at this verse 103. But let's see if there are any questions or comments.
Antonio, ¿se me escuchas, Antonio? Ah, bueno, es un comentario. Me parece interesante cómo Shantideva utiliza cierta ironía en sus versos para, de alguna manera, hacernos ver que el ego y pues las aflicciones mentales se pueden ir metiendo donde nosotros menos lo esperamos, pero siempre está intentando encontrar un lugar pues como para aferrarse, para que nos estemos aferrando a ese yo y demás. Entonces, al menos para mí, Shantideva me es de mucha ayuda en ver estos diferentes ángulos en los cuales pues te hace reconocer que pues que estamos, o sea, que no porque estemos aquí en el camino sea de que ya lo hemos logrado, sino que tenemos que ir de alguna manera, pues siempre estarnos preguntando si vamos bien, si vamos mal. No sé si me explico. Gracias.
So Omar has a commentary. He says that he finds very interesting how Shantideva uses in his verses this irony to make us see how ego and afflictions, they go inside or they use different ways to enhance or to make us being more attached to things. So Shantideva helps us to see through many angles how to recognize where we should go in some ways. And we can check if we are okay, if we're doing things well.
Mm-hmm. Let me repeat the comment so that because we learned that the interpreters cannot hear each other. So the interpreters are kept on the different bhumis, I joke. So they cannot hear each other. So I'll repeat. So Omar has made a comment about how it's very helpful to see how Shantideva takes care in pointing out how grasping, self-grasping, and confusion operates on so many different levels to reinforce itself, to keep making it stronger. Even as you try to weaken it, they come in all different directions. And so then also how Shantideva then also uses different reasonings, different perspectives, switching back and forth, arguing, giving us kind of, you could say, I'm adding this, giving us kind of like weapons to counteract the different ways that confusion and self-grasping is constantly utilizing to keep it strong and powerful. This Yeah, so indeed, Shantideva is always going like, consider this, and consider this, and consider this, and consider this, and consider this.
Well, para mí, para mí es, for me, it's more difficult the negative part, that the happiness. For me, the verses of the people who is when you are criticized, or when you don't want someone near you to criticize the other in the family, something like this, because for me it's very difficult to manage this part, because the first part in the verses I understand and goes so well with Shantideva, but in the negative part, for me, it's more difficult. I don't know if you understand my question.
You go ahead and repeat in Spanish, and in case I misunderstand, then Antonio can catch it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Antonio, sí, que para mí los primeros versos, cuando es lo que igual es dañino para ti, lo positivo, las alabanzas, todo esto, pero lo entiendo muy fácil. Pero cuando es la parte opuesta, que es cuando critican a alguien que tú quieres o te critican a ti o todo esto, para mí es más difícil manejarlo. Gracias.
Yeah, thank you. Antonio?
So Teresa said that for her, the first part, when people praises or gives good words about her, it is easy to understand, easy to see. But when there is people that criticize, for example, her family, well, it's difficult to cope with it. It is, well, she understands the first part, but she has difficulties on the second.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah, that's what I thought. But then I thought even my understanding added other things, so it's good. So the comment that Tere offered is that for her it's easier to see the first part of what Shantideva is saying, which is how praise and compliments aren't things that we should become attached to, that we should get carried away by. But it's the second part, which is how Shantideva also says, like, but when someone close to us criticize us or complain or criticize about people close to us, that is very hard to kind of work with.
Que es más fácil para ella.
Antonio, you're in the main room, I think.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Yes, I think most of us, I think are raised in such a way, that we are taught to at least publicly be humble. So that when people praise us, you know, we already know, oh, no, not really. So we already have training, kind of like growing up, you know, and we see our parents doing that. And so whether genuine or not, you know, it's already in our system to say, oh, no, yes. So we kind of don't pay attention to that. Yes, that is true. I agree. The second part, yes, of course, I also agree, is hard, you know, because we don't like, you know, it's not comfortable to be told you are wrong this way. Then even when we get comfortable with that, or we don't get disturbed by that, the next layer is seeing, right, someone criticizing those we care about. Oh, you say, I don't care if they say bad things about me, but I cannot stand that when they say bad things about my son, they say bad things about my granddaughter. Oh, you know, yes, I think we all face this. Then a third level is, someone close to us saying bad things about someone also close to us. Oh, even worse. Right? Hurts me so much, you know, that, you know, this one, you know, my son that I care so much about, you know, hates my daughter, or my daughter that I love so much, you know, hate my, you know, son-in-law on the other side, or whatever, you know, all of that, you know. So the Buddha offers different strategies. Shantideva offer different strategies to counteract the kind of distress that comes up when we experience things like this. So people close to us, you know, especially, you know, criticizing us, you know. So one way to kind of work on this, how soon we can work through this really varies, hard to say. But one way we can work on this is to say, you know, well, you know, there are so many causes and conditions going on that is causing this person to do this. So this is understanding a little bit about the mechanics of karma. And it gives us a little bit more space and not get too tight too quickly. If it is directed at us, then we see that as how, again, you know, like what I must have done sometime in the past, this lifetime, previous lifetime, that has brought about this situation. To also recognize that can be helpful, Again, when this negativity is directed at us, then we can turn the negativity again, another strategy to turn this negativity into, oh, this is, you know, a special assignment given to this person by the Buddha or by my guru to point out faults that I have to clear away. And when this negativity is like, say, someone close to us on the left side is directing it to someone close to us on our right side, yeah, then when that level of things are going on, then again, you know, some understanding, introducing this understanding of karma, right, causes and conditions, interdependence, and say, well, certain interdependence have brought about this situation. So first of all, what Shantideva is teaching us here is not the outer level of conflict resolution. I think we should recognize this. Yeah, he is fundamentally working on the inner level of conflict resolution. That means resolving it within our own mind. So we have to recognize that. So we take his teachings to first resolve the conflict within us. So in this situation, someone on the left side close to us directing negativity to someone on our right side close to us. First, we need to resolve the conflict within us. And the conflict within us is to be pained by it, and then to lose our patience, and then to feel like we have to take sides. This is right, this is wrong, or getting annoyed at the one whom we say has started it. All of that we can work on equanimity on so many levels. One, seeing how both sides, you know, regardless of how they are doing it, both sides, they want to be happy, they want to be free from suffering. Then when we can have an equanimous response to this pain that is transpiring from left to right, and we're caught in the middle, when we can work on stabilizing that with equanimity, then we can work on external conflict resolution, which Shantideva doesn't necessarily provide us here, because that's not where he's most concerned about. That's when, you know, maybe, depending on culture, you go to some elders to try to help resolve this, you go to some therapists to try to resolve this, and so on and so forth. Family counseling, so on and so forth, right? Yeah, so today we will end here and do the Bodhicitta dedication. Changju Sem Chu Rinpoche Ma Ge Ba Nam Ge Gu Chi Ge Ba Nyam Pa Me Pa Yang Gong Ne Gong Du Bel War Shu. Excellent and precious bodhicitta, where it has not arisen, may it arise. Where it has arisen, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher. So quickly, for those of you who are thinking of joining the short course on gaining a better understanding of the Anapanasati Sutta, the sutra on the mindfulness of breathing, which is the basic sutra that His Holiness Drigon Kyabgon is using for teaching his Shravasti meditation. So I'm starting that series starting next Thursday. The Zoom information has changed from the original Zoom information, and I have shared the latest Zoom information on my Facebook page and also on the Urban Dharma North Carolina Facebook page. So please take note that the Zoom information has changed. And the reason the Zoom information has changed is because now there will be also Spanish translation for that and Vietnamese. And so they have to create a room with the translation available, the organizers. So for this series, there will be English. Well, I will teach in English, and then there will be Spanish, and so far Spanish and Vietnamese. And I think Leonard shared in the chat the link, so you might want to click that before we leave this room. Otherwise, once I close this room, then all the information will go away. This short course for 6 weeks is going to be on Thursday evenings, which is Friday morning for those of you in Asia. Okay, so thank you for participating. See you all on Saturday.
Thank you, Dr. Lee.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Antonio. Thank you, Waiting.
Gracias, Dr.
Bye.
Lee.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Gracias. Gracias.
Thank you, Dr. Lapan.
Gracias, Antonio.
Gracias.
Gracias, doctor Lee. Gracias a todos.
Gracias.